Okay, we're back in England, even if you just watched the shaving video from Tuscany, that was pre-taped. This is live, however, and I'm here with Sally. Say hello, Sally. I see yourself. Okay. And I want to talk to you today. I have a fantastic story about the newspaper business, newspaper and video. As you may have read, as I read this morning, the New York Daily News, which is one of the I wouldn't call it great journalism, but it's one of the great tabloids in New York City. It's been around for 100 years, which is pretty impressive for a newspaper. It was sold yesterday to Tronc, which stands for the Tribune Online Content. It's kind of a dumb name, but it's a newspaper group, and it was sold for $1, which is pretty astonishing. Mort Zuckerman bought it, I think, 20 years ago for about $35 million, and yesterday sold it for $1, which I would have bought it if I knew it was for sale for $1, but nobody told me. The fact that a major newspaper like the New York Daily News can go for sale for $1 is why I titled this thing Newspaper Death Watch, because apparently the newspaper business is on a death watch and it's dying. It's a tragedy beyond words. The funny thing with the Daily News is it says on the top, on the letterhead, New York's picture newspaper. That's because when the Daily News came out in the 40s, they were one of the first ones to pick up photography, and that was their big thing. Too bad they couldn't keep up with technology. Many years ago now, too many, I sold a business that I started called Video News International. The idea of the business was we had video journalists all over the world. I had about 100 video journalists, and I was trying to make like a CNN. Of course, they were all VJs, and they all had little cameras and stuff like that. And, it was relatively inexpensive to cover the planet. And I sold 51% of the business to the New York Times. I did a deal directly with Punch Sulzberger, who was Arthur's father and really the genius behind the New York Times Company for years and years, a man of incredible integrity and vision. And I said to him, I will build for you the video analog of the newspaper. And that was the idea, because I had 100 reporters around the world with video cameras instead of pencils and pads, and I had the New York Times. And so I sold him the business, and part of the deal was I had to become the president of New York Times Television for 2 years. As you can probably tell, I'm not a very corporate person. Am I corporate? No, not corporate. So, anyway, as the president of New York Times Television, I obviously had to make the thing work as a news organization, but using video instead of print. And as soon as we signed the deal, Joe Lelyveld, who was a fantastic journalist in his own right and was the managing editor of the paper, invited me to lunch in the New York Times dining room. There's a big formal dining room they had upstairs in the old New York Times building. And so I went in my little suit and tie, which I don't normally wear, and I sat, hello, Mr. Lelyveld, hello, Mr. Rosenblum, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. Have a seat. And we sat down, and these guys came out with white jackets and silver trays, and they had great wine, and they served the salmon, and I thought, this is pretty good. And Lelyveld turned to me and he said, congratulations and welcome to the New York Times. And I said, thank you, Joe. Maybe I should have said, thank you, Mr. Lelyveld. Thank you, Joe. And he said, I just want to tell you two things. I said, what's that? I thought he was going to give me some advice on how to function in the New York Times. Well, he did. He said, number one, you can't go in the newsroom. And number two, you can't use the name New York Times. Have a great time. So it made it a little bit difficult to form New York Times Television in video without the name or the reporters or the paper or any of the content, which was kind of a problem. And I always think the New York Times, we did drag them into video eventually, but it was slow going. Now, the weird thing is, in the digital world, there's absolutely no difference between print and photographs and video. It's all the same thing. It's all zeros and ones. And in the world of iPhones, which is how I'm talking to you, every reporter carries an iPhone. Every reporter carries an iPhone, even if they don't use them. Every print reporter has an iPhone. So every print journalist has a tool with them that allows them to make video like that, on the spot. All you gotta do is point the thing and turn it on, and you're making video. That means we've gone from a world of this is a newspaper and this is television to a world of digital journalism. Well, in the world of digital journalism, print and video are exactly the same. Now, the weird thing is, newspapers aren't worth all that much, mostly because most Americans don't read. The average American spends 19 minutes a day reading. But the average American also spends 5 hours a day watching stupid television, like the president watches Fox News all day long. So television and video, whatever the format is, whatever format it appears, that is the meat and potatoes of the journalism business. Why newspapers persist in thinking they can only make text is absolutely beyond me. Every newspaper journalist should does carry a phone with them. They just don't use them. Every newspaper journalist should create text and video and stills and live stream like we're doing now, because it doesn't cost anything, but it gives you 5 products instead of 1. It gives you a whole bunch of formats to put it out. In the old days of media, you watched television, he read the newspaper, she looked at magazines, she listened to the radio, and this person was online. Today, everybody is in the same place. We're all online. So your online delivers text, it delivers video, it delivers sound, it delivers live stream, it delivers everything. The opportunity for newspapers to be really profitable is there. I always think I could have saved the New York Times. Maybe it's arrogant, or maybe I could have saved the New York Times. Anyway, I never got a shot because we ended up making stupid reality television because they wouldn't let us near the paper because it was considered this kind of holy thing. Well, it's going to be a holy thing like some relic of a dead saint if they don't pay attention. And this goes for all newspapers. The Daily News worth $1 is tragic, but it's the canary in the coal mine for newspapers and the print world in general. It doesn't have to be this way. You can move from being a print organization to being a digital organization encompassing all aspects of this, including this. The only thing you have to do is you have to change your mindset. You have to stop thinking of this is text over here, and this is video over here, and this is television over here, and that's the internet over there, and they're all separate things. It's all the same thing, and it all gets produced by the same journalist. They're all doing one thing. They're out reporting digitally. So, New York Times, I'm sorry things didn't work out. It's never too late. You can still call me. I understand Joe Lillyville retired, and you guys are looking for new revenue streams. Other newspapers are looking for revenue streams also, and that's the business we're in. So if you're interested in this, the only thing you have to do here is teach your journalists how to do that. And that's why we're running the boot camp. When is the next boot camp? Next week in London. Next week in London. We're running one in London, and then we're running one in October in New York. And of course, we always have the online training. So if you're a journalist or if you own a newspaper, give me a call. I think there are whole new revenue streams that can be developed here for next to nothing. And that's all I got to say for today. But now, at least, we're back to being live from England. See how nice it is here? Very pleasant. Talk to you later. Bye.